Hello, welcome to the Three Orcs Discord echo chamber. There, I turn my volume down. This is September 14th, 2025. It's my weekly Three Orcs live stream where we update. Make an update on what I did all week on this Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year project that we're working on. And also, I'd like to try to get a guest to come on too and talk about their campaign or answer questions about the project. Tonight, we're going to have a guest, DM Hearn, and he's running his DCC campaign in Greyhawk, so I'm sure he's got quite a few things to say about that. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Ron Lundeen. He's one of the original Triad members of the Verbobonc area of Living Greyhawk, and he worked for Awachi. So he's been around a long time, and he's all excited to come on, but it's not going to be for a couple of weeks. And I just want to say that my week's been pretty busy trying to finish off the Village of Nulb Dungeon Masters Guild module. It's really big. I think it's going to end up being bigger than my first version. So this is version 2.0, and I'm creating a lot more quests, and not just plot hooks, but entire quests. Like part 1, part 2, part 3, dialogue, and also 5th edition, dice checks, challenge checks. Those little rules in there, so reactions of the NPCs to what the players are doing, things like that. So with this new focus on the leadership activities and the cult members and the brigands and the bandits and the pirates in Nulb, it's actually ending up being a lot bigger, a lot more. That focus is causing a lot more content, and it's a lot better because now the Dungeon Master has so many plot hooks and quests to use in this campaign when the players finally do get to Nulb, and also prepare you to stage it before you get to Nulb, so that way you can integrate the players into the plot line, what the activities of what the temple's doing and other organizations out there working with the temple or working around Nulb. There's a lot going on, from slavers at the Wild Coast, the A modules, divers, and they bring in slaves by wagon, prisoners by wagon across down the road from Wild Coast through the Gnarly Forest, and also along the river, which is another pirate that actually related to the Scarlet Brotherhood. He's an agent. And also, there's Laris bandits in the Viscounty of Verbobonc, and they're doing the same thing from the west side of Nulb, and Wild Coast Divers is more the east. So it's like Nulb is the hub of scum and villainy. There's lots of trade, lots of recruitment, a lot of activities going on. And the players are really going to have a lot of fun getting drawn into all that. And there's so much going on that no matter really what the players do, they're going to be drawn into it. There's so many quests and plot hooks everywhere in every village within a 100-mile radius that has anything to do with the temple's activities. So it'll be, it's interesting to see how people's campaigns play out as the players get drawn in. And we're going to hear that tonight from one of the DMs, DM Hearn. And so let me go ahead and bring him on over here, and we'll talk to him about what he's doing in his campaign. There you go. Hi, Hearn. Welcome to the Three Orcs Discord channel. You've been on it a few times before, and I really appreciate you being on here. And you're really fun to talk to, and I like to hear everything about what's going on in your campaign. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me back. It's always a joy to join you.
You went quiet again. Oh, wait.
Did I?
Go ahead and talk.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, I'm glad to be back. It's always a great time coming on and having a chat with you and whoever else happens to be on the show. So yeah, definitely happy to give you my opinions and any updates I can.
Thank you, Hearn. Damon Edwards I got my echo again. I probably should put my headphones on. Damon's on here, says hello. So thank you for joining us, Damon. I know he asked if he could join our live stream too to talk about the campaign, but we got Hearn in here first, and I'd like to hear what's going on with him. And because Hearn, you're running which rule set are you running your Greyhawk campaign with?
I'm running in the 5th edition 2014 rules.
What's that? I'm sorry.
5th edition 2014.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
I am not a fan of the 2024 changes. So
I think I'm trying to. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for doing a headset, and the cable's not long enough for some
if
reason
the
right
worst thing that happens today, we're doing pretty good.
Let's see what I can do here. Okay. So, Hearn, last time you talked to us, you were telling us what your players were doing.
Yes. So I remember the last time I had talked about how the party had gotten themselves into a lot of trouble with Lareth. They had gone into the moat house, went down to the second floor, and they inadvertently made a beeline right for Lareth and his men instead of gathering a few more experience and taking their time about it. So they ended up in this drawn out battle with all those guys, and everybody's like, okay, we're gonna surprise them. Let's come up with a plan, and the barbarian just went charging in.
That's right. I remember you talking about
that. I'm here. So they lost the element of surprise, and it really was a tough slog for them. This was one of the battles that told them that they had some serious issues at the party, but they hadn't figured it out yet. They didn't realize that they were their own worst enemy. So after this long drawn out slog, they finally carved through Lareth's men, and Lareth just steps out after doing a dispel magic on the flaming sphere. And they're like, "Uh-oh," because they realize we're out of everything. They're out of healing potions. They're out of spells. They've got nothing left but cantrips. And of course, he starts doing those nice little swirly whirlies, the circle of death, and he just starts stepping forward, going, it's like, I see that your friend has been downed. You have this chance to leave or die. So they ended up abandoning the barbarian. And knowing Lareth, well, where they're going to end up. We have three other modules for that. We're dealing with the slavers. So they may encounter this barbarian again in the future. But after they tactically retreated from the battle, Lareth, he made his way out of there with the barbarian. And they reported everything. The council of Hamlet went and they checked things out. They saw the mess of like 20-something bodies. And of course, doing the whole speak with dead and finding out all the information they could. Like, hey, we have information that tells us that there's something going on in keeping the Borderlands, and we want you to check that out. Now that we know that this Temple of Elemental Evil thing isn't just some rogue faction from years ago. So they go out there, they ask a few questions, not really that much. I thought they were going to do a little more investigation before they went to the caves.
Yes.
And they ended up going, they were told, start at the at the lower level caves. It gets harder as you work your way up the hillside. So of course they went straight for top tier knoll entrance. And
the knoll is on the left side, upper side.
Yes. Okay. So they went in there, and another long drawn out battle. And of course they did the whole flaming sphere again. Well, they're not idiots. So a group of them used the back door, circled around, and then they were pinned between two groups of gnolls, front and back. So it was not looking good. Thank goodness, two of them had a potion of gaseous form, and one of them did invisibility and had like the spider walk ability, so they could crawl across the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they were able to get out. Unfortunately, they lost two of their NPC companions that I had scripted in for them. So
you call them retainers or henchmen?
Well, I would say that they were tasked to join from the council in Hamlet.
Okay.
They were a little weak. They didn't have much muscle on their side. They were mostly spellcasters. They Now they have a cleric, which is the closest thing they have to a tank. Everybody else is a caster.
Clerics. Well, they do make great tanks, but they don't have the same amount of damage output that a specialized fighter warrior type would have.
But it was a little after action, and about a week later, after they were done being salty, they realized that, oh, we did this to ourselves. And they realized they weren't.
You can hear me, or you can hear me well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, they realized that they weren't communicating very well. They weren't playing their role as well as they should have, and people were just doing whatever. And
so, they're 5th edition players.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're experienced players. They're not new. It's just that for whatever reason they just weren't syncing, and they weren't using their head. So after they recuperated, they went back, and this time they were like, "Oh, I'm going to check for tracks," And so I was like, "Okay, great." So they check out some tracks in the area. And they're like, "Oh, well, it looks like orc tracks over here, and then there's cobble tracks over here," and they're like, "Okay, so this place is full of different kinds of monsters. So let's leave the kobolds because they're the lowest threat, and if we just wipe out everything, then more monsters will be coming. But if we leave the kobolds alive, maybe it'll keep the monsters away." That's their thinking. So they decided to go into the orc cave, and they did very well. They cleared out in two separate sessions. They cleared out all the orcs in that first orc cave, and they're approaching where the orc chieftain is, and they see his 2 guards waiting in the hallway, blocking the pass. And they see that the orc chieftain is there. They fight the 2 guards, and then when they get into his little throne room there, so of course they know to search, and so and they're like, "Oh, there's a door over here." So they get through the secret door, and and as they're going through the secret door, that's where we call the session. It was like, "As you open the door, see you next week." So they're finally getting their stuff together. I really thought that they were going to pull back and recuperate, because once again they're out of gas. They've used up all their spells. They've used up everything they've got, and they're pushing forward through the secret door.
And what level are they again?
They are they're level 4 now, I believe.
Wow, they're leveling quick.
No, they've been busy killing stuff and running away. But thank goodness they did some of the side quests in Hamlet. There were a few more I wanted them to get to, but they decided to push on.
So to be clear, the V2 module you're running is the 5th edition version?
No, I have the original, like from the, what was it, 1980 something?
Yeah.
And so all I've done is I've gone into the VTT. I've got all the tokens and such, and I've made adjustments on my own.
Yeah.
Plus the notes that you passed me for updating.
The stat blocks are built into the VTT?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are playing 5th edition monsters.
So what they don't know is Lareth is actually waiting for them at the Caves of Chaos.
Oh yeah, because that's a perfect place for that shrine is at the very end of the ravine.
Yes. So the thing is now they're in the Orc's cave, but he is there in the cultist area, because they don't say what type of cultist. So I said, well, what? I guess they work for the Temple of Elemental Evil, and Lareth is there visiting, and so when he arrives, the 3rd level cleric that's supposed to be there and him, and since the party leveled up, I made Lareth level up too, because he needs to remain a threat.
Good idea. Where did you place the Caves of Chaos at on the map?
I placed it. It's west of Hamlet, there's a little village. Where is?
Well, is Nibs Rest is northwest.
Like it's like due west, pretty much.
Okay.
In the Cron Hills. It's getting close to the mountain range.
Yeah, somewhere around here.
Yeah, there's a curve in the road. I forget the name, but there's a town nearby as well, on a different map.
A different map.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this map open right now, and I put the cursor over the location you told me about.
Yeah, if you go to the, it's.
Conceptually, there's no reason why there wouldn't be a type of Caves of Chaos at that location.
No.
It's
just much further west than that. So, but
it is.
Yeah, it's much further west. It looks like where you see Vim and Bar. If you scroll down that road to the west a bit more,
it's outside of Greenway Valley, correct?
Yes, I mean it's right there. It's in the hills.
Okay.
Maybe I should take a screenshot or something, and I'll send it over to you.
Okay. Well, I think conceptually the B2 will work if you use it for this campaign because of the shrine and the cultist, and it's any kind of cave system that you'd find in any campaign world, so it works.
Yes, and I also, based on our conversation that we had a long time ago, it's the, there's that collapsed cave where you're expected to make your own dungeon area. And I posted it in your chat, the map that I made.
Yeah. I had it connected to the B1.
Yeah. I was going to do that, but it's like, it's just too much work.
It is.
So I just made a very short, simple dungeon. And, they're once they get there, they get to meet these two skeleton minotaurs standing in front of a stone door.
I did. I sent you that battle map on that road. There's a mushroom cave. Did you get that? Did you use it?
I have not used it. I made my own for this particular encounter.
I have to find it.
And but like I said, these two skeleton minotaurs, when the party enters, they're not going to be aggressive. They're going to ask them a riddle, and if they can answer the riddle, they open the door. If they fail the riddle or choose not to answer the riddle, they have to fight and then figure out how to open the door.
Well, this map I'm putting on the screen is the entrance outside of the B2. It's it leads you to the intersection where that caved-in tunnel is.
Oops. Yes.
So that's to the right goes to the Caves of Chaos temple area. To the left goes to the other dungeon where I put the Plaza Quentin at.
Yeah, I think it's like Area 51 on the Caves of Chaos map. It just has that collapsed tunnel. But they're gonna find some shadow demons waiting for them on the other side of the door.
There you go.
They do that. They're gonna find a Bodak.
I give up. It's on these maps are on my Patreon.
Yeah.
So,
and I think they're good level to
Lareth.
You're talking about the Bodak and the shadow demons? Oh no!
I mean they originally were supposed to work with Lareth, right?
The cultists there at the Caves of Chaos, yes, they work with him.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, I get. There's a bunch of you on the Three Oaks Discord channel running the same campaign, and then trying to remember what is what.
Everybody's campaign is different, I know, and it's a great and wonderful thing. It's just keeping track of it all is kind of a mess.
I was writing the Village of Null quests, and that concept of who the players are working with and against. So I made sure I tackled that in all the quests and plot hooks in the module because of that reason.
Well, I figure by the time they get into that little crypt area, they should be about the right level to have a nice first interaction with a Bodak, because I do not think any of them have ever met one before in their other games.
A Bodak is a shadow demon?
Well, it's a type of demon, but
okay. That should be fun.
It's
what are you gonna do about their level?
That's why they are at the Caves of Chaos to grind out some experience points. One thing that the Caves of Chaos is good for is dishing out lots of XP.
Yeah. So they're going to be minimum 5th level before they leave that place.
Yes, and that's the idea. And then they get to come back, and then they get to go visit the wonderful village of Nulb, and
Okay.
they get, and they can see the finest hostel that Nulb has to offer. Maybe hit up Wharf Mart, see what's going
Wharf
on.
Mart.
Yes, and yeah, and hopefully they can dive in. And when they finish up with that, I'm going to give them the choice. If they want to go after the slavers or if they want to go for the deeper secrets.
The deeper secrets, like the drow.
Yes.
Okay.
It's because they rescued they rescued the gnome, and I tied him into that gnome village near Hamlet.
Yep. Sure enough.
And so they're going to be able to go against the giants, or they can go against the slavers.
Well, so early on in the campaign, before they leave the area, the gnomes need help against these giants that are raiding the town from the Lord Mills. And also there's some other temple outposts out there. I don't know if you were using those or not, like the Fire Temple and the Edders.
No.
Are you using those?
I have used one of the air temples that you had posted. But that's the
side quest from Chernob, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they did that one.
I didn't know if you were going to use those or not. That's why I was asking. Well, there's the plot hooks to hook the players. I don't know if you're using them. There's one with the druids who are creating this ritual, inviting all druids in the area to come witness this balance of nature during this ritual called the Wickerman, and that's at the top of the Edders. And there's another one. Well, the Earth cult, it has got the monastery right here next to this long road title. Just south of Hamlet, and they're raiding up and down the road, and the players might have encountered them during their raids.
It's funny. It's just the party is really good at deducing some things, and then other times when it's staring them right in the face, they totally miss it.
Well, I just wasn't sure if you're actually giving them those plot hooks or not. That's why I was asking.
I'm giving lots of different options for what they can do.
Okay. They haven't really connected with traffic from Wild Coast because they're on this side of Knoll, and also it sounds like they haven't connected with any of the pirate action up and down the river through the Fens of Tor because they're not in the area either, and that's where their water temple is focusing their efforts.
Yes, maybe after they hit Knoll, we'll have to see what they do there. Okay. Hopefully, they don't get themselves in trouble. But they were told from the beginning, say, hey, you need to try to keep this low-key investigation because I introduced it as just an investigation. Something's going on with these bandits. We want to check it out, but we don't want to tip our hand that we're looking into it. And so, of course, Lareth, having captured one of their crew members, has seen all of their faces and has thoroughly questioned the barbarian before being sold off. So yeah, he knows everything about them.
Actually, let's examine that. That's a good lead-in because, like I said, I've been working on these plot hooks and quests in Nulb, and with the idea of the different factions and the players helping one faction or another. And one of the factions is the constable in Nulb, and also the owners of the 2 taverns. So it's not just the bad evil factions, but there's a lot of different factions in Nulb, including Otis and Canons de Ve. So sounds to me like in your campaign, when the players get to Nulb, when I wrote these quests, I gave options in each stage of each quest. So it says if you want to help the constable for something, I give you that choice and lore and dialogue and rules for that choice. If you want to get together with Commander Feldrin or Captain Tolub, the pirate, or Ladris or Skull, or the water deep dick at the water side, this fire temple. If whenever the quest is happening, something that triggers it, the players can choose to interfere one way or another. And depending on the angle they want to choose, I make sure I wrote it all out, the different choices, like who's they're with. So when it comes to your campaign, your players are arriving at Null, maybe still at this point, I don't know if you're going to change that they're working with Lareth, and Lareth is the greater temple. So when they come into town, that's going to carry some weight if they can say that to the bandits, brigands, pirates, the owners of the taverns, the agents, the cultists of the Temple of Elemental Evil that are recruiting.
I wish it was so easy that they were working for him. You know, Lareth knows who they are, and he sees them as the enemy.
Oh, so, I thought they were helping him.
No, that's the other guy. Lareth captured one of the party members and sold them off into slavery. So
well, you have a problem then. So when the players do get to know, they'll be a known enemy.
Yes, they will be known. So they are looking at an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So maybe they can suss that Otis. I don't know. I like your write up about how to gain favor.
Okay, so let's examine this a different way. I wrote an article about this. I did another video about this, about the paladin coming into Nob. Which one of your characters is a good guy, like a paladin or a cleric?
We do have the one cleric. It's more of a neutral cleric, but
who's he worship?
I have looked at the character sheet. I forget. So it was one of the more minor deities.
Okay, so it won't matter then. So if they arrive in Nob representing some greater good organization, Hadric, the Supreme Commander of the Temple of Elemental Evil, wants to make sure that Nob is portrayed as a hive of scum and villainy full of pirates, bandits, and brigands, and that it's just a somewhat lawless town, but there is a constable there. It's his job to keep the lid on, to take care of the law, even though he's very ineffective. But it's still a local problem. But Hadric still wants to make sure that's still portrayed to any important, powerful forces of good outside of the area. So he doesn't want to give anybody a reason to send an army down here and just flatten the town. And so if you get a holier than thou paladin or a cleric coming into town and throwing his weight around and that he's here to save the town, they're not going to outright murder him because they don't want to draw that kind of attention. But they will try to get rid of him by redirecting him at one of their factional enemies, like the Fire Temple against the Water Temple. So if they're messing around with a Fire Temple agent like Watt, he's probably going to direct the players towards the Water Temple base outside of Nob. They're all going to try to remove these characters out of Nob and steer them away. If they get ganked on the road away from Nob, that's totally different. So that way it won't draw attention to Nob. They just want to make sure that doesn't happen. But it doesn't sound like your players have that kind of character. So seems to me like your players will be taken as maybe mercenaries for hire, looking they've obviously proven themselves. They're very capable. So that means that's value. That holds value to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and that they can be used. And if they can somehow control this party with money, greed, or some other captured relative or friend, they can somehow control the group. They're not going to outright just murder the players. They're going to try to use them. So it's something you might want to think about.
Yes. And I plan on doing a little tie-in with Wharf Mart.
Wharf Mart. Well, that's why I suggested maybe you should have them hit one of the other outposts, so that way they could, I don't know, have more.
I plan on having people checking them out, trying not to tip their hand while they're there, because I know the party. They're gonna hit Wharf Mart, and they're gonna want to see all the special deals because they're the cheapest players ever.
Yeah.
So
talking about the water side.
Well, I mean, if something costs 5 copper, they want to get it for 2. You know.
They sound like mercenaries.
And so when they find out about Wharf Mart and have it has the greatest deals, if the prices are so low, it must have fallen off a wagon.
Sure.
I know they're going to want to check that out. So while
Well,
they're
they
there,
have to stay at Waterside because it is the only inn in town.
yeah, but there's going to be people checking them out, seeing who they are, what are they up to, because
Of
hey,
course.
it's not like Knoll was a tourist center. People don't go to Knoll, unless they've got business there. So
Well, the
seeing
thing
strange
is
faces
there's heavy
rare.
recruitment going on, and a lot of mercenaries, bandits, brigands, and pirates are coming to town regularly. So it's not surprising that another band of adventurers are in town, and everybody wants to get to the bottom of that, find out who they are, who they represent, and where they're from, and what their agenda is. That's the first thing that everybody in town wants to know when anybody comes into town.
Now,
Then they decide what to do about them.
Hopefully, they're smart and they use disguises.
If they want,
because
they could do that.
Because Lareth has passed on, descriptions of what they look like. So they're going to go, oh, well, there's this many of them, and yeah, this one's got red hair, this one's got brown hair. And of course, one of the party members being a fairy kind of stands out.
Well, this is the problem if they come into town, recognized and warned by Lareth, that Lareth is with the Greater Temple, and if they interfered with his raiding and activities of supplying the Greater Temple with prisoners and loot, that they're not going to be too happy about those players. They're going to count them as enemy.
Yes.
The other temple agents that are in town, like the Fire Temple, Earth Temple, and Water Temple, they also recruit, and they also use mercenaries, bandits, brigands, and bandits and pirates. Mm-hmm. So it's possible to align yourself with one of those temples as well, and hopefully keep your head down away from Commander of Feldrith, Smigmol, the assassin that comes to town once in a while with their men. So you'll find out that they're there eventually.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I would like to throw their way if the opportunity arises is, well, we know that you're a bunch of do-gooders that are helping out, but
is that true? Are they do-gooders or are they just greedy?
They try to do the right thing.
I know, but what does Laura think of them?
Well, yeah. Laura would know quite a lot about them, having had spent some quality time with their friend.
So he considers them do-gooder heroes?
That's what he considers them.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, but the thing is like, well, I've got this problem with these Fire Temple guys. And, if you want to help out around here, maybe you can go take care of that for me. Maybe they don't realize that the guy is actually Water Temple or whatever. But
Well, if you read my logistics article, Commander Feldrin is the commander of the logistics of the Temple of Elemental Evil. He's responsible for getting all the supplies and prisoners into the temple and recruitment. So basically, he's got an agent in town, Madame Salentis, with his Greater Temple guards, and they are at the Old Mayor's Manor. And they're responsible for taking all the prisoners and loot from the Boatman's and Waterside and the Wainwright to the hunting cottage where the secret tunnel is. And then Gifred, the commander there, takes that loot and sends it up through the secret tunnel to Commander Feldrin and Lieutenant Brunk. No. So basically, Madame Salentis will find out sooner than anybody else that these adventurers are in town and who they are. And then eventually, shortly after that, I'm sure the assassin at the Broken Tower, the bandits of the Broken Tower at the top level, Smigmol, she comes to town regularly too, and she has a whole network of assassins and thieves and stuff. And so she'll find out eventually that they're there, and she might just attempt to take them out or take a more Pacific person out. Yes. That's a problem.
It is, and it's one that they're going to have to overcome somehow, or die trying. They kind of put themselves in a bad spot when they pushed too far and too hard, and they lost that battle. But at least most of them got away.
Well, hold on. Let's back up a little bit more. What do they know about Nulb exactly?
Oh, they really don't know anything about Nulb yet.
So there's nothing directing them there yet.
Not yet. And
the way this is set up is Lareth is out there for the Greater Temple doing all the raiding.
Oh, yes.
His lieutenant, Gaddis Void, him and his men will take wagon loads of prisoners and supplies up the high road regularly from these raids and send it into Nulb to the Wainwright there, right across the bridge. And then from there, those carts will be taken by Madame Slentis and her Greater Temple men to the cabin where the secret tunnel is. So if the players are aware of the activities of Lareth, if they follow the supplies, if they follow the trail, they find out that they're taking the supplies in the wagon.
Unfortunately, they killed everybody. They killed everybody. They weren't able to ask any questions. And not only that, but when they did bump into Lareth face to face, they ended up having to run. So
if they don't come across any evidence of all this,
and that's where the Caves
organization coming from Nulb, the only other choice you really have is either give them more clues of sending them to Nulb, or give them the clues about the Edder's Fire Temple, or the Earth Temple Monastery, or the Air Temple, but I wouldn't count them. But I'll do the Fire Temple or the Earth Temple and send them in that direction. And then from there, they'll get evidence of that their base is Nulb.
Yeah, in the head cleric's room, in the Caves of Chaos, they're going to, if they look around, they're going to find papers that are communications between the temple and them, and they're going to make some reference to Nulb.
Yeah. So that would actually probably be. Actually, I write this kind of stuff up all the time. It's basically, what's a list called? That cargo manifest for the wagon mercenary for the for the merchant captain of the wagon train. They have these manifests, and also Lareth keeps track of a ledger, the manifest of all stuff that they take. And Gaddis Void, his lieutenant, actually is responsible for organizing that. But Lareth would have copies of these manifests and direct communique from the Greater Temple leadership, like Hadrek, the Supreme Commander.
Now, the other thing is the torturer that's in the module. I have given him one of those little signets. How the secret entrance to the well.
Yeah.
They ask you for the signet to prove you are somebody that's supposed to be passing through there. So he has one of those, and he has one of the temple code books. So when they find the papers and then they find the code books, that little signet, that'll definitely make them think, hey, we can use this. How, we don't know yet. But we've got this thing that identifies them as us because we have it as belonging to the temple for passage. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they can put two and two together and not show this thing off in public. Then they know, oh, somebody's got one of our things. We need to go change those out.
Well, I got an example letter on the screen right now. This is a letter from Lareth to Maris. Maris is one of the raiders in the area. And he says to Maris, shall I remind you that we are all served in Hadrek's favor, and your band of misfits pretending to be gnomes better not get in the way of my men next time. Next time you send that animal Nymphic in his stead, I will let Grimjaw have him. You seem to think that because you have bandits harassing the high road, you can carouse and Hamlet. This I shall not stand for. We need to focus on the trade on the road. We need intelligence of when and what caravans will be traversing the roads. Mm-hmm. To my other concern, it has come to my attention that you are hiding supposes in the rabbit hole your men live in. Do you think I would not know when your men plunder a passing caravan? Bring all supplies immediately, or I will have Lucius pay you a visit. Even Romag would not dare cross the Supreme Commander's orders. Remember, the Knoll Fort is not far from your training hideout. All I have to do is tell the king that your gnome treasures have, and you will be swarmed with more gnolls than you can imagine. And it's signed the letter L.
Yes.
Things like that. I write letters like this all the time for the campaign.
I haven't seen this letter before. Where was that at?
It's in my folder. I thought I sent you a bunch of stuff already.
Yeah, you sent me a bunch of stuff, but I haven't seen this.
So this right here on the screen is an example of a cargo list, a manifest. So this stuff is cool for players to find as a player handout, because the players can. This is mundane stuff that's in the crates, in the barrels, but it's cool for the players to see that and who signed for it and the dates and stuff. It kind of pieces things together.
Yeah, my players they love handouts.
So I love this stuff. I create a ton. Here's captives. So I made another manifest list of the prisoner, the captives they took, their names, their, all this stuff, little descriptions and stuff. I like that. Losers talking it up at One Eye. Think they're coming back. Yeah, the party's in effect a bunch of amateurs, nothing to worry about. We get the gnolls to chase them away. Yeah. He's talking about the adventurers in Hamlet. Things like that. Players love to find stuff like that.
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah. In another one of my games that I have going, the party was on a cruise ship, and so I actually took I took some old celebrities, B-listers, and I made them being live entertainment on the cruise ship, and made little posters that you would see on the cruise ship saying, hey, live at the such and such lounge after hours, Yeah. So they love stuff like that. It doesn't do anything for the gameplay, but they look at it like, hey, that's awesome,
It pieces things together. It connects the dots. It
the
helps
Golden
when
Girls
some
burlesque
players have
show
something physical in their hands. Yeah.
Can you imagine a Golden Girls burlesque show?
So there's a small problem with what you're thinking of doing. So Lareth, his base is in the Moe House. Is that cleared out? Did he move away from there?
Oh, he's been run out.
Okay, so he's been run out. He took all this paperwork with him. So that means all his stuff is at the Caves of Chaos.
Yes, because that is his new digs. He took over. He moved in, and that third level cleric, it's like, hey, nice cave.
That'll work.
Yeah. And
we're taking over.
They're when they come in, they're actually going to be the third level cleric, and then Lareth. They're actually going to be in a meeting, basically discussing the change of leadership. and Lareth is probably going to make the slip again, because he has a potion of gaseous form.
Okay.
And
that helps.
Yeah, and there's a secret door right behind the chair he's going to be sitting in.
Yeah.
So he's going to be saying, "Hey, kill them," and then while that cleric is trying to engage the party, Lareth is just going to go, "Yeah, I'm out of here." He's going to open up that secret passage, take that potion of gaseous form, and poof, he's going to be gone.
There you go.
Unless the party does something to intercept him.
Players always do called shots and aim for the potion and stuff.
They have the opportunity,
but nuts.
It's going to be a narrow window. If they can come up with something, that is great.
Yeah.
But, we'll see how it plays out. And if he gets away again and they level up, he gets to level up too again. And I'll figure out where they meet him again.
Yeah.
And he's going to just become the reoccurring villain in the story, I guess.
I want to make clear about something. Are you the one that has Lareth is really a drow?
Yes, he is a drow.
Okay.
And yeah, he's a drow, and he is a death cleric, and he is very nasty.
That works, Lareth being a drow. There is no real concrete history to him in any of the lore.
When I set him up in the VTT, I actually wrote him up as I would a character. So he has all his spells allocated, his stats. I've got everything. And so he is on par. Well, he's actually above level of the party, but it's just him versus all of them. And as we all know, one versus many doesn't tend to work out very well. But he is not afraid to use those dirty tricks.
Yeah. Well, the campaign is fully adjustable.
Yeah.
You can make any NPCs and different levels
I think he's
to
like
fit your
5th or
campaign?
6th level now. I can't remember which.
Lareth?
I have to check my notes because after I leveled him up, he's 5th or 6th level. So he's quite formidable.
Yeah,
But
sounds like it.
He's just one man.
Well, you got to make sure that doesn't happen, that he has men between him and the players.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's just in the module. It's just him and that one other cleric. So he's going to be going, "Go get him! I got your back." And
Well, wait a minute. What about the 18 other bandits that are down there with him?
This is a Cave of Chaos. He doesn't have any bandits with him now. They're all
What
dead.
about the bandits from the Mo House?
They got whacked.
Oh, the players killed them all.
Yeah.
That's
the only one who survived was Lareth.
Oh,
it ground the party down, and their barbarian was doing death saving throws.
I've been running this module, the T1 module, Village of Hamlet with the Mo House for 40 years, and I've always run AD&D First Edition, Second Edition, Castles of Crusades, basic old school essentials, and not one group I've ever run or any group I've heard of was successful in fighting Lareth at the 2nd level of the Mo House. That they either got wiped out, or they surrendered, or they ran away. They usually 80% of the time the players just run away.
Now,
it's too overwhelming.
My party was able to successfully do it, but we were all 3rd level.
Yeah, it's pretty high level to be there.
Yeah,
especially if all those bandits are first.
I forget what adventure we had done, but this is years ago. But we had done some adventure, and no big deal. And we hit the
the reason nobody's been able to success in that is because it's usually the first dungeon anybody in their campaign's been in. So everybody's first level, and if they're lucky, a lot of those players are 2nd level by the time they get to Lareth.
I feel bad for anybody going into that where they are legit first level, 0 experience points.
Yep.
And the first thing they do is go into the moat house.
Yep.
You are going to die.
They're not going to make it. Usually I let them get away if they can think of a way to get away. Usually they'll light stuff on fire with flask flaming oil.
Well, it even says that Lareth is going to give them the opportunity to walk away.
That's true.
So
most of the time the players have flaming oil. They just throw a couple of those and run.
Yeah, but by the time they met Lareth, it was too late. They're out of everything. They'd used up all their spells, and their last flaming spear. Yeah, he just came out and went, bye-bye. Yeah. And scared the daylights out of him because like, that's a 3rd level spell.
Yeah, 3rd level spells are nasty.
Yeah, they are. But yeah, so he doesn't have any of his cohorts anymore. That's why he's taking over this cave with these acolyte clerics.
There is more cohorts there.
Yes, and he's going to start recruiting and building up and getting things going again. But
if I was you, I'd have him arrive with 6 at least when he first gets there. You should have 6 bandits.
It's only been a week.
I know, but he should have arrived with 6. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I can always
give him some. Give him some men. But think about it.
No,
there's still men out there raiding, so he hooked up with them.
Yeah, there you go.
See,
I'm sure he had somebody out on a scouting mission at least.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's got some men with him. He hooked up with them, and
that's easy enough for me to update. They just,
you don't want him to be undermanned.
No, but I think it'd be funny. It's just like, go get him. See y'all later. Because he's just gonna. Why fight? He knows who they are, and it's the 2nd time he's seen them.
Oh, that's them again.
Yeah, it's like I'll let the minions take care of it, or die trying, and I'm leaving. And then he can be a thorn in the side down the road again.
Have you thought about using the Gift of Beauty quest?
I wanted to do it, but published it like 2 or 3 weeks after we had started the adventure, and I don't know how to bring them back to redo that, because now they're hunting down the temple, so it'd be kind of, I don't know. I think it'd be awkward to shoehorn it in.
You're not talking about Noble Ambitions. We're talking about Gift of Beauty, right?
Wait a minute. Maybe I'm getting confused.
Yeah, Noble Ambition starts in City of Verbobonc.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So the gift of beauty is pivotal. It's important in this campaign because all the forces, all the countries, organizations of good got together. They want Queen Yolanda to open the borders again because right now it's
Yes.
closed. You can't get in.
Yeah.
And of course, all the organizations and countries of good want her borders open again to trade, to collaborate, to help,
Yes.
to rely on them. Because right now she wants nothing to do with anybody. And so they all got together, including all the holy clerics of Veluna and Firandi and the druids of the Gnarly, the great druid. And they put together all these gifts of beauty into a chest. And they sent a delegation of Rayo down to Selene, and they got ambushed just south of Ostberg. And now they want somebody to track down that chest and retrieve it and recover it. And it's been missing for about a week now. So it could, in another campaign, another DM, he has it taken by the Earth Temple, and it's at the monastery right now. And he had Lareth raid them and take the chest from them. So now Lareth has it. But it's a good, since this Stone Temple Monastery is within the game area that your players are in, which is only 5 miles south of Hamlet, you could run. They could run into these Earth Temple raiders along the Merchant Road and find out where they're coming from, and they're the ones that have this gift of beauty. And so the players should know that the gift of beauty is missing, and everybody wants it back, but nobody knows what happened to it. So it's possible for them to recover it from this monastery. Something to think about.
Yeah. Do you have a write up on that on the site?
The guest I'm having in a couple of weeks, he wrote those modules, and we're going to talk about it. But all the NPCs and locations are all part of the lore of all these locations on the website, like all the quest givers and the dialogue, and a lot parts of that quest are on the website, but not the actual module. So, like if Lord Delavue down in Austin,
I've always wanted to do the gift of beauty, but you can't get a hold of that module anymore. It is not available anywhere. So unless you know somebody who got it at a con or just has had it for the last 30 years sitting in a drawer, it's impossible to get. So that's why I haven't run them through things like the gift of beauty, because I don't have it.
Okay. Well, I could probably help you a little bit with that. But Damien, real quick, he's been talking in our chat.
Yeah.
He commented earlier that not demons, but they could conceivably be created from those slain by them. I'm not sure what he referenced there. That was like 20 minutes ago. And now he just posted another update. He said, to be clear, what I'm doing is a retcon in a 3 Orcs campaign. In 576 Common Year, the borders of Selene are open and will remain so until 584 Common Year. You may have to find another reason for the gift of beauty. Well, I explained this a few times in the past. I don't count Living Greyhawk as critical canon. It's not canonical source to the Greyhawk box set. So we're running this campaign with the original Temple of Elemental Evil T1 through 4 module with the original World of Greyhawk box set by Gary Gygax and all the supplemental modules and books, source books since then for that era in 576, 579 Common Year. Now I'm using Living Greyhawk. Now, real quick, the Greyhawk Wars have not happened yet, and I don't approve of the Greyhawk Wars, so I'm not a fan of them, but it's still 576 Common Year, so it hasn't happened yet. So it's not canonical in that way, where it's a possible future thing that could happen in this campaign in 576 Common Year. Anything that's a quest or activities in the future in Living Greyhawk modules are possible things that could happen in the future, possible future events. So that means, but what I'm using Living Greyhawk for is to flush out the campaign world, to create those villages, those NPCs, those organizations like the Gnarly Rangers, the Druids of the Gnarly, those lords, those NPCs that still exist in the same timeline. And all the adventures, the modules are inspirational source material to recreate those quests for this timeline. That's why I'm doing it, because one of the main reasons why I'm doing that is because the whole core concept problem with the actual module. The problem is the T1 module, the Moat House, players start off traditionally. The players start at first level, and as we talked about this a few minutes ago, by the time they get down to Larith on the second level, they're still first level. Maybe a couple of them are second level, and they always get wiped out or run away.
Yeah.
And so there's always been a lot of advice in the past to do side quests to help the players level up before getting to Larith. That's what all those side quests are for. Hamlet's all about.
Yes.
Now, I decided to flush out this world, to turn this into a Game of Thrones meets Temple of Elemental Evil, where I keyed the entire campaign area from the city of Verbobonc all down to the south to Selene. Basically, these quests are perfect opportunities to introduce the players to this campaign world, to get engaged and see firsthand the politics, the problems of the area between the gnomes and the lords, and and Selene, the gnarly forest, the gnome problem, the trade, the merchants, and all that. These quests are perfect for bringing this campaign to life. So I'm actually only using these modules as inspirational guide to redevelop these modules for this particular campaign, 576 Common Era. As I always got to make sure I clarify that, because a lot of people, especially the ones that played third edition all through the 2000s and played a lot during the Living Greyhawk era, they keep making the mistake that they think Living Greyhawk is high level canon compared to like the Greyhawk box set by Gary Gygax. I consider full unbreakable canon is the Greyhawk box set, and that era 576 Common Year is the standard campaign start from Gary Gygax. It's his own personal campaign. Living Greyhawk is more optional. They do a fantastic job. They did a great job. I wouldn't be able to do this project without them, without those modules, without the lore, their journals, and their main book.
Great source material.
Yeah, and that's what I'm using it for. So I want to be very clear that you shouldn't really consider Living Greyhawk or the Greyhawk cores true canonical sources that you can't break. It's only
I look at it this way. I'm telling a story, and if I make a mistake on my lore, or it just doesn't fit with what I want to work, I'm rewriting it. Then people might go, "Oh, well, that's not canon for what it says here in this Greyhawk book." It's like, well, you know what? That person who wrote the book isn't running the game.
Yeah, I know.
It's that simple. Because let's face it, there were mistakes made. There are things that conflict with the original source material and that's fine. That's for me to look at and go, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. So
Damon just said the same thing. He said, fair what I just said, but the original World of Greyhawk is what he's talking about, and Selene's borders were open. Now, this also is another thing to think about, to consider.
Yeah.
Canonically, from the very beginning, Gary Gygax even said that everybody's World of Greyhawk is their own personal World of Greyhawk.
Yes.
So I'm using his lore, his box sets, and publications that came out since then for the 576 campaign year as canonical sources, a baseline to build this campaign upon. I don't want to change it too much because I don't want this to be my personal unique campaign that I'm running. I want this to be more canonical for all Dungeon Masters out there to use, with a firm canonical base with slight modifications because we're integrating the Living Greyhawk locations and organizations into this campaign. He also said what he means is there's no reason for the Gift of Beauty in your campaign. And I decided that that is a perfect quest to bring this particular campaign to life, to really pull everything together. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Also, Kevin Carolon, thank you for joining the 3 Arcs Discord. I'm sorry, the 3 Arcs YouTube channel. He had a statement. He said that, are you aware that Baldwin Games is doing Legends of Greyhawk? They have created a trilogy of dungeons around the village of Hamlet.
Nice.
I I was recently made aware of them that they're doing something with Hamlet lately, and I guess they're running them as events at conventions in the East Coast or Midwest. But I haven't followed their work because it looks like they're just doing their own thing, much like another company out there doing their own thing, which is more their personal campaign version of Hamlet. BDS Games. I can't remember the name.
No.
They have a Facebook.
Yeah. Good on them if they came up with something in the area.
Yeah. But I don't know if what you're talking about, Baldwin Games, is actually canonical or not. This might be one of their own unique twists on the campaign, much like the other one I just referenced, because theirs is a lot different.
It's like, hey, keep on the Borderlands being west of Hamlet. Is that canonical? No, but I did it anyways. Why? Yeah. It was convenient. It's a great module. And,
you should. It's your campaign. It's your personal twist. It's your Greyhawk. I'm trying to make something that everybody can take and do that with it.
Yeah, and you're making something that is for a lot of people to use as a source material.
This is a good example, actually. Let's say I put the Caves of Chaos on this website at that location. That's total change that I added. You guys don't want that. You guys as DMs want to do that yourselves if you want to do that. But you don't want to see me making this my personal campaign. Yeah, I got the B2 Caves of Chaos. I put it right here in this hex. I changed everything. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I'm only using Living Greyhawk as a guide to bring this more to life based on Adam Meyer's maps and locations from Living Greyhawk.
Most of these modules, you can change the location pretty easily. Yeah. Unless, of course, you're talking like the Sinister Secret or Salt Marsh. That's pretty much pegged where it's at,
Yeah, I did add something actually on my map on the thing, the Fenzator.
So let me bring the DM on there. In that trilogy, I like the first module, but the other two, I just disregard the other two modules. The underwater stuff and all that. I'm not into that. The going to the haunted house and finding the ship and. That's
the U series.
Stuff. Yeah.
U1, U2, U3.
Yeah.
That's pretty popular. Salt Marsh.
I love the U1 module, but U2 and U3, forget it. I'm not a fan.
Well, the 5th edition people love that series.
Yeah.
So I gotta retract what I said about how I don't add stuff because I want to keep this as canonical as possible using Living Greyhawk stuff. I did add a few things. Like, I thought it'd be cool to have a small Lizardman village in the Fenzator. So I did add that. But I put it under DM only, so you can actually turn it on and off. The DM only icon. So I did add that.
That is good stuff.
Yeah.
I like the map you made for that, too.
Oh, thank you. It took a couple months, forever. It drove me nuts. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Kevin also said, I like your stuff. It's more fleshed out, and they're working. Oh, and you mentioned that the other company is working with Wizards of the Coast.
Interesting.
Baldwin Games. Cool. They can do what they want. That's cool.
Yeah. Anything new for the industry, I think is a good move.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does a level of what I'm doing here. It's like a whole other level, what I'm doing compared to what anybody else is doing.
I know there was a guy that was actually doing something similar to what you are with the Salt Marsh area.
Oh.
And I forget his name right now. Of course, it'll occur to me in the 5 minutes after the stream is over. But he was doing something very similar. But he doesn't go into as much depth as you do. I mean, he's got some really good. Hopefully, I can remember who he is and then pass it on to you later. But he's got a lot of really great stuff for fleshing out Salt Marsh and the region. But
you know why we do it? We do it for our campaign.
Yeah.
If a dungeon master has time, and he wants to do it for his own campaign, I consider this very elaborate DM notes for my campaign.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. I've been working on it for 7 years.
That is a long time. I've always, Hamlet has always been my favorite module. Hands down, it has always been my favorite module. But it is not meant for level 1. It's like you start them somewhere else, they do an adventure, and then they come to Hamlet.
It's what I considered actual Dungeons and Dragons is the Village of Hamlet.
Now, if they're showing up with a three ring binder and they've got 6 different characters written up, okay, we'll start off on Hamlet. Not a problem. Let's go.
I like the B2.
Anyway.
The B2 is traditional Dungeons and Dragons too. Another thing, there's a bunch of really great modules, but the reason these modules are so popular is because everybody's starting a new campaign with new players, and these are probably the best way to start a campaign. They're perfect for that. They're engaging, they're immediate, they're interesting. They give the players agency to interact in all ways of what Dungeons and Dragons is.
I always love the lower level adventures better.
Yeah, they're more fun.
Well, you have nothing. You're very squishy. You can die very easily. The stakes are high.
People like mundane things. They find stuff that they're lacking.
Yeah, it's like
plate mail is huge.
Oh yeah,
especially the plate mail.
Oh yeah,
or even chain mail.
It's like you realize how expensive this stuff is, and I just found it laying here.
Yeah, I had players start their game without a bow and arrow, and they were so happy to find a bow and arrow, a short bow.
Yeah, but those lower levels when everything is critical, and then once you start getting higher level, you're like 10th, 12th level or whatever.
Oh, it just occurred to me.
Things are just so much smoother, and it's just not as fun.
That just occurred to me. So the Village of Hamlet, a little bit, the Moe House is kind of what I'm thinking, but the B2 Caves of Chaos more so. Survival. So I play a lot of video games. I like RPGs and online role-playing games with lots of other players. And lately I've been into survival because I've been playing Fallout 4. I love this survival and building a base and exploring the world and meeting other NPCs and doing quests. And then Fallout 76, the same thing. And then all those other games just like that game. I'm playing Near Human, Almost Human right now. That's fun. And I like the idea of survival. And that reminds me a little bit of the Caves of Chaos because the players have nothing. They barely even have any weapons and very little gear, no magic items. And they're exploring, they're surviving, they're engaging. And there's a lot of combat. There's a lot, not just straight up fighting, open each door and kill the next thing. You got all those caves, and I run the Return to the Caves of Chaos, which is basically much expanded, much more interesting. And they have this Minotaur layer that connects all the tunnels underneath. It's pretty cool.
I love it when I get an opportunity to use Minotaurs in a smart fashion instead of just just throw them at the party.
And another thing that makes these modules great is an immediate localized town, a small town that's not overwhelming for players to really get engaged in, stay the night, buy equipment, meet the NPCs, get clues, hire henchmen, whatever you call them, retainers. And then the dungeon's not too far away. So it's very immediate, very engaging, and it's very manageable, especially for a new Dungeon Master.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem with Hyperborea is they don't really have a module like that. And I complained to them about it several years ago because you guys need a B2. You guys need a T1. You need something, a small engaged area with a small town and an immediate dungeon.
Even Saltmarsh gets that. Well, it's bigger than Hamlet, obviously. It's a bigger city. But it's still, you have something that's not too big and it's not far from the adventure.
I hated Forgotten Realms with Waterdeep. Oh my God. Waterdeep is way too big for a new campaign for new first level players to adventure from. It didn't feel real. It was not engaging. It was just too overwhelming and large. And especially for a Dungeon Master trying to bring that to life, it's really tough. It's markedly different from running a Hamlet. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's like these huge cities, I've never liked running campaigns in these
either. I like it when they visit, but I don't want to start there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did it in this campaign. I start Noble Ambitions. Noble Ambitions is written online on this website. You can actually run that module from starting at the city of Verbobonc. But I put a lot of work into it. like 5 side quests, really bringing that city to life. I put months of effort into that module.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming. Any new DM, forget it. There's no way they can pull off a large city.
Now, I mean, it's like Waterdeep, Lankmar.
Yeah.
No. And there's so many people out there like, oh, I like these cities. Well,
Lankmar might work if you keep it localized in the neighborhood.
You can't connect. It's like, oh well, there's 50 inns and 35 different taverns you can go to, and no,
I agree.
One.
There's the one inn, 2 at the most.
Yeah, 2 at the most. You know all the people. You go in there. You've been in there before. They remember your name. But if you're talking, a city the size of Verbobonc or Lankmar or wherever, some of these cities are like 100,000 people.
I know.
There's zero connection in there. And even if you do keep going back to the same shop, chances are they don't recognize you because they see people all day.
Yeah.
You were one of 200 that popped in the shop today.
And also most cities in any campaign I've ever heard of are not well developed, keyed like the village of Hamlet is. But I did that with Verbobonc City on this website. It's fully keyed, but it took me months.
Yeah.
But it has to be revisited based on my work with Noel. I need to go back to Waterdeep and redo it.
Well, think about this. Think about this stuff. With all the work you put into Verbobonc so far, right? In the main city,
it's a good baseline.
Yeah, but all those NPCs, how many of them do you think the party are actually going to remember?
Well, I created all those side quests to help them some of the NPCs be memorable.
It's like the shops. Do they the smith? Do they remember his name? In the village of Hamlet, they do.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
And that's a huge difference. You don't get that connection in the big cities. Because if they don't like to deal with the smith, they'll go, well, I'll just find another smith.
The major problem is have the campaign starter at the city of Verbobonc. Okay, you got the small village and a dungeon. So the players are going back and forth to the Caves of Chaos and role-playing and going up levels and training and buying equipment and staying the night in town. And so there's a lot of engaged interaction between the two locations. But you can't do that with this large city. It's okay to be in a large city once and then leave. Yeah. But you don't want, like, Under Mountain dungeon that they had. Oh, that was so boring. It's really cool dungeon, but constantly you're in the city, you're in the dungeon, you're sitting for months, you're just playing, exploring countless maps and levels.
Now in my case,
oh my god,
everybody was recruited for this adventure, by Uncle Chester. He's a guy who goes out, he finds talent and puts together teams and sends them on missions. Of course, he's getting his pay to do all this. Yeah. So they were recruited, brought to Verbobonc, signed their contracts, went out on the mission, and then they went off to Hamlet. So they have been to Verbobonc, but they didn't stay there for any real time. It was pretty much overnight, and they were out the door in the morning.
Gone.
Yeah.
Well, Brand Holt, thank you for joining our live stream. He said that if you treat the local neighborhood as you would a local village, couldn't a big city like Lankmar be your sandbox? Yes, I actually just mentioned it. I don't know if anybody heard me. I mentioned that, if you pick the seedy area of Lankmar, like the slums where all the action takes place for thieves, if you're running a thieves campaign, that would work as long as you keep it localized. Yes. That would work. And then all the other neighborhoods in town would be like one-offs, like an event that they go somewhere to do something, and then they come back again. Yeah, you're right. You could do that. But good luck trying to really bring that town to life. You have to be a really good DM.
Yes.
You have to role play well and describe well and be engaging. Pace and timing's everything, so the players won't fall asleep at the table.
Well, and even if if you're keeping it in the one district, and keeping the entire adventure inside of a single district, that's a great idea. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Until your players decide that they want to go to another part of town.
I go, okay, you guys are all going home. We're done for the day.
Yeah. And it sounds great on paper, but I guarantee you that the first opportunity, the players are going to go, oh, we should go to the high district. Or,
I got some money now. I got some coin. Let's go spend it. Let's go get a nice room.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't have any maps for this because I designed everything to be in this one district.
Storyline plot-wise, there would be a reason why they'd go visit a certain temple. I see that, like the temple district, to follow up on the quest that you're on.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, centered on, the one district, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, there might be a few ventures off in different areas, but, my experience is the party is going to go off the rails at some point and want to do something you're totally not prepared for.
I know.
And it doesn't matter how much planning you do. You can plan for months, coming up with contingency plans after contingency plans, and they're going to do something you're like, what?
Well, that is why that's one of the reasons why I created this website. I fully keyed all these villages, just like the village of Hamlet, in case the players decide to go there, or you decide to send them there, or they're on this quest that travels through there.
Yeah, and running this adventure is actually helping me prepare because I want to get a paid game going. And
you were talking about that.
Yeah, so I want to get this paid game going. And
what's it called?
Playing games. I'm not using their website.
Oh, you're not going to use them?
No, they are being finicky. Now there's a couple of websites out there that allow you to sign up. So it's like playing games. That one, they have you fill out. I kid you not. It's like a 15-question test.
Yeah.
And I filled it out. Gave the best possible answers I could, and after 3 days of waiting, they came back saying, "You gotta, you've been denied."
You didn't dot the I's. You didn't make a period.
Well, it says you've been denied, and I was like, "Well, why?" And they did respond, and it said, "You answered a question incorrectly." I was like, and I said, "Well, which question did I answer incorrectly?" And they're like, "You can reapply in 3 months." So you have a 15-question test. Apparently, I got one question that they didn't like for whatever reason. I don't know if it was wrong or opinion-based. I have no clue. And they wouldn't even tell me what the question was.
Well, I signed up. I created an account, and it worked. Yeah. I'm active.
I don't know. Maybe it was just the person that I submitted to and did the review. I have no clue. But all I can say is that the transparency is not there. If I have a 15-question test, you should at least tell me, question 7, we didn't like your answer. They don't have to tell me what it was specifically I got wrong, but say, hey, question number 7, take a look at this. We didn't like the answer.
Yeah.
Then I can at least go back and say, okay, where did I screw up and where can I get more information in case I got something wrong? But they don't give you that. They're just, you got a question wrong out of these 15 and, good luck. Because in 3 months, when I resubmit, what's going to happen?
Do it again.
they're just going to say denied. So I'm like, you know what? If you're going to be thick-headed like this, no, I'm not going to deal with it. So I'm checking out some other websites, and I'm gonna use somebody else. I don't want to do this on my own because chargebacks are a nightmare.
Yep. And
the one thing I've learned is 50% of all online transactions end up in a chargeback. So
I signed up thinking I might want to do this, and I decided not to.
Yeah, but I would much rather let somebody else handle all of that stuff. We'll say, great. If you want to charge back or, whatever, contact the customer service people over on this website that I'm running it through. They handle it all.
Well, you remember the reasons why I don't think it's a good idea to do it.
No.
Basically, somebody's paying for your service. They're paying you to be their monkey DM, and you have to run a game to entertain them, and you have to run the kind of game they want, and you can't kill them. No. So basically, it's just not fun. Can you imagine? It depends on the players you get, and most of them are like 5th edition new players that want to play, or they never played before. They would like to play something different. So you get these different aged players with different expectations, and all they've ever seen was Critical Role, and you don't look like Matt Mercer. So what are you gonna do?
You know, I'm not gonna do a dog and pony show and do a little soft shoot for them. You know, it's just not gonna happen.
What are your funny voices?
You know, the people I game with now, they're all mid-20s. So I know who you're talking about, but all the people I'm gaming with now, they're all mid-20s, and they're all having a blast with my campaign, even if it is a bit more challenging than they had ever expected. You know, because one of the guys is like, "Oh, you should have geared to that encounter." It's like, wait a minute, you went to the area I told you not to go to, got into a fight you weren't supposed to get into with some of the end mobs, and I was supposed to nerf that because of your decisions. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." It's like, wouldn't that just ruin the entire experience of the game?
Yeah, well, a lot of these newer players don't understand it because they haven't played that kind of game before.
Yes, and like you and I, we've played, you know, the old 1st edition where you showed up with several characters. You know, fighter number 1, fighter number 2, and fighter number 3. You didn't bother with their names until they survived.
Something like that. You know, I explained in my last video how people have opinions on different kind of rule systems and different kind of games, different kind of campaigns. And I wanted to point out that it depends on the kind of campaign you're running. So are you running this game as a one-off? Are you running at a convention, at a gaming store? Are you running just a one and done dungeon, like a short mini campaign like the B2 module Caves of Chaos? Or are you running, which is where I'm coming from, I want to make that very clear, my advice and my comments and my opinion is based on running this kind of campaign, which is a great epic campaign that's going to take 2 or more years to run. It was combines the Game of Thrones and Temple of Elemental Evil. It's a huge monumental, it's a lifetime achievement type campaign. It's the one I've always wanted to run for 40 years. And that's a different way of looking at D&D. Based on characters you create and the backgrounds you make and how engaged you get into the game. And that's why I want to clarify there's different opinions and different tastes depending on the campaign we're talking about or the game.
Now, I hate one-shot adventures. I have partaken in them, paid and free. I loathe one-shots. I want the campaign. And that's what I'm offering in this, because I'm going to start them off. You know, everybody's going to start off at level 0 or level 1, I should say, and they're probably going to go and they're going to pick up your campaign there in Verbobonc, and they're going to go through, and then they'll probably get introduced into Hamlet and the side quest there, and it'll branch off from there. You know, I'm going to keep B2 in there. They're going to go do part of the village of Hamlet. They're going to go to the keep, and then they're going to come back and they're going to actually go and process through the rest of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And once they're done with that, I'm gonna steer them after they've helped out that gnome, hopefully, in the basement. You know, and steer them against the giants.
That sounds good.
And not only that, but it wraps up with them, in the underworld, because it's not the Underdark here; it's the underworld.
Yeah.
And they get to go against a bunch of drow that nobody's ever heard of these before.
It's whatever interests and engages the players. That's what you go with.
This paid campaign I'm going to be putting forth, I'm not going to be putting it forth as like, oh, we're running this module, or oh, it's a one shot. No, I want this to be a campaign that people can get invested in, figuratively and literally, and over time.
I just want to kill players. Just kidding.
Well, they miss the payments. They die. Yeah.
I want to kill their donkeys. Buy a donkey. Yes, buy a donkey. Put a bell around his neck.
And I do want to avoid some of the problems that, because let's face it, not all paid games are good games.
Yeah. You think?
It's like my very first paid campaign. It was for a charity.
Oh.
And someone actually paid for me to get into the game. So it wasn't my money, but it was still paid. And I got in, and I'm making my character. I'm trying to interact with the DM, and he's like just totally blowing me off the whole time, just blowing me off. And then he's acting like it's my fault that, I don't like how you did this. So it's like, well, I was asking you, and you weren't responding. And so we finally get into the game. First fight. My character takes a spear, critical hit, drops him to 0. Not like -20 or something like that. Just drop him to 0. Mm-hmm. So I go, well, I'm going to make my... it's like, okay, well, next time my turn comes around, I'll do my death saving throw. He's like, no, you won't. You're dead. I'm like, but I just hit 0. Why am I dead? He's like, because you suck.
Oh, no.
And that was his entire reasoning. Because you suck. It's like, at no point did I have any kind of positive interactions with this DM. He totally ignored me in character creation, totally ignored me while we were doing the exposition and lead up into this cave. And then the first hit, I'm just dead, and no, I'm not even going to allow you to do a saving throw because I don't like you.
Wow.
And
that's the best
and I'm thinking,
experience.
And somebody paid for this experience.
See, that's why I don't like running games online for strangers I don't know.
Yeah, and that is the icing on the cake.
It's hard to find players for a campaign. I run interviews for my in-person campaigns, and I usually meet them at a coffee shop, and we talk for a couple hours.
Yeah, you have to. It's like even with the campaign I'm running now, people are all over the world. I've got a player in Poland. I've got a player in Germany. 1 second. But I've got players all over the world, and and that's the beauty of the internet. But you have to vet these people.
Yep.
In one of my past campaigns that I had, I told the guy, look, you need to be able to work with a party because he wanted to make this toner, loner, edgelord, difficult player. And I told him, this isn't going to work very well in this game setting. You're going to get yourself killed if you act this way. And he's like, oh, well, I'll be fine, blah, 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 blah. And of course, he put himself into a situation, a totally different game system. But it doesn't matter what the game system is. He went and he did something stupid because he thought that he was Superman. And the rest of the party were like, that's stupid, and I'm not getting involved. And they actually backed off and let him just get slaughtered. Basically, the situation was he had a baseball bat, and there were 6 guys with M16 rifles. And he decided he was going to go take a swing and think he was going to win.
Wow.
I've
heard so many horror stories over the years. I used to help run conventions, so I've heard them all.
Yeah, and I gave him a shot because I knew one of his friends. So we had a common friend, and like, oh, give him a shot. So I did. You know what? Next time when I do an interview with somebody like that, no. Paid or not, no. And people are like, oh, well, they're paying you, you have to take them. No, I don't. I can send them the payment back, or I can tell them, do not pay me until I have approved you.
Hey, I wrote a quest for you today. It's on the screen. So basically, I thought the black market at the Boatman's Tavern.
Oh, here we go.
So it's an investigation. It's based on that idea I was mentioning earlier. Gaddis Foyd is Laura's lieutenant. I guess your players killed him somehow?
Yeah, he's dead.
He's tough.
He
Well,
is.
anyway, he or somebody else took a delivery of loot from the Mo House to Nope, and he's here, or somebody like that. And this is where you can follow the breadcrumbs, starting the clues. So there's a rumor on the floor. They recognize something. The constable will say something. This is the key NPCs involved, and the scenes. So scene 1 is a midnight delivery. Scene 2 is the paper trail, and scene 3 is proving the connections, because Otis, the blacksmith, Canada Today, and a constable, they want to know stuff like this. They want proof. They want to see the connections. So this is I wrote this today, and resolutions and evidence. There's evidence they can find, and a cross-reference stuff. So, and some dialogue. But anyway, I wrote something like that with a lot of NPCs involved, depending on where you want to go with it. So this is the example of the players following the breadcrumbs of all that loot.
I was just going to say, is there a tie-in to the trader in Homeland?
You can. This is just an idea. You can tie the same idea to the trader in Hamlet sending loot up to Nope.
Because I'm thinking, they get some stuff in that they need to wash, because how many golden chains and rings do you need? And they're not just sending it out to one guy. They're probably sending it out to several, because you don't want all of your stolen loot in one spot for it to be discovered.
Well, let me show you the map again. So this is Nope.
Just my thought.
Across the bridge is 2 buildings. So this is the high road, and that's the low road. The bandits like using the high road because that goes past the Mo House, the little fens area. This is a cottage, and some bandits are staking it out, just spying on people going by, making their marks. And 6 is an actual Wainwright. So this is where the wagons stop at. They come here, and there's wagons coming and going. This is like a hub of wagons from the bandits used to coming into Nold. So once the wagons come here with all the loot and prisoners, Madame Salentis and Commander Fedrin will send their men over, pick the stuff up, and take it across the bridge. There's 2 more factional spies at the bridge spying on everybody crossing that bridge. So it's
I could see a couple of guys gathered around playing checkers or something. The party goes by, and these guys, when the party is going over the bridge, they're sitting there with their hooded lantern, flashing signals the other side of the river.
There you go. And what's interesting about all this is if you look at this as a whole, this bridge, this is the water side. Upstairs is this is the only inn in town. So there's 2 bandit crews staying in the water side upstairs, and they have window view of this bridge, of the water, of both paths. So whenever anybody comes to town on the river or the 2 roads, anybody in the water side, they will definitely have somebody staked out watching. And so they're going to know immediately anybody coming into town.
Yes, the finest hostel in Nold.
That's right. There's a lot going on here.
I need to rewatch Your Trip so I can get the hostel keeper's attitude right. Because you know how she goes to that little spiel about, oh yes, and if the place burns down to faulty wiring, she the way she delivers it all. It's like, oh, I want to recreate, obviously a different character, but they come up with their own dialogue, but something that flavor,
Yeah.
Because I think that particular character was just spot on for the movie, and it's the level of humor that most of my players like. It fits in with it. It's not over the top,
It's dry.
I don't have a whole lot of humor in my campaigns, but I do drop it in occasionally. And the players that I game with, they seem to really like it in that particular way. So if you find one particular colorful character, that goes over very well instead of running it like the Holy Grail.
Well, all the dialogue I write especially around Nob, is based on like Glenn Cook's Black Company's novel series, and also the video game I'm playing right now. It's Skull and Bones. It's a pirate game, and everybody in town talks this way too in that video game. And so I like writing stuff down as I play it. It goes, oh, that's a good line, so I write it down.
Yeah,
I find all these cool lines, and when I watch movies, I'm always writing down.
I wish I could do voice acting, but it is not in me, because we all know that the Drow, they speak with an Australian accent because from down under.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's a good idea.
But I can't deliver that sort of thing. I wish I could.
It's hard.
It is. It is. I have seen some people do just marvelous voice acting, and I just do not have the training and talent to do it. Then yes, they're like, oh well, you just practice and you get the paid training that goes with it. Yeah, I don't have time for that.
It's hard to recite this, to speak this dialogue in a neutral, flat tone.
No.
And so I guess what I would do is I would like pretend I'm talking to a wall, like trying to say these lines without any emotion at all.
No,
that is very tough, because you're naturally, when you talk, you have your own personality, and you have emotion attached to it, and you don't want that for doing this kind of dialogue. Like, fresh voices and nope. Don't see many new folks around these parts without a reason. See, right there, I put emotion into it. I heard it, so I messed up.
Or you can take something dark and dreary and say it with a happy tone.
Yeah,
that always throws people off. For
slice of paradise.
We really don't see that many folks around here after the Great Fire.
It's easy doing goblin voices. I'm a goblin.
Yes. It's like, why is this guy so chipper?
And gnomes are easy to too. Gnomes are easy. Yes. Elves are hard. Elves are hard to role play. They're really tough. Like an English accent, a posh English accent would be hard to portray if you're not used to doing it. Anyway. Well, I think we covered quite a bit. Yeah. I don't know why we have people still watching us. We got 5 people watching our channel.
Right on. Right on.
We were up to 8 at one time.
And thank you very much, Rock Goblin. I appreciate my dad jokes. The more people grown, the more successful it was.
Well, because of you, we went really long tonight. We went an hour and 40 minutes. That's probably the longest live stream I've ever had.
Well, I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time.
No, I'm just going to watch a movie and we'll be done for the night.
Yeah, it sounds pretty much like me. I'm actually rewatching Friday the 13th, the TV series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an old one. But yeah, I remember liking it. And a friend of mine wants to do a adventure kind of like that. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm going to feed some ideas to my friend and help them flesh out their campaign.
Cool. I like research like that. When I was writing up Lady Eleanor for House Osbury, I watched all the Jane Austen movies, and I was constantly writing down dialogue on my notepad.
Yeah, I think it's great to get a party together, and it's not that they're trying to go after some big end boss or save the world or the universe is imploding. No, they have to go and get all these cursed items that were sold by their uncle and put them back in the special vault to be sealed up and to keep people safe. I think that's a great premise. You can have scaling bosses. Sometimes they're easy. Sometimes they're really hard. Sometimes you've got the beach episode. I think that's a great idea for an adventure.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's been almost 2 hours, and I'm exhausted.
I bet you are. So, yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to come on and talk with you and interact with the questions that your folks have.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you joining the live stream. always really fun and interesting to hear about your campaign. So I really like it when you come on.
And hopefully I've got more traction on the paid game stuff the next time I come back.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, well, you have a good night. Thank you for joining, and thank you, everybody, for joining the live stream. And I'll see you again next week for another live stream.
Yeah, Bella Cow, everybody.
Good night.